Now, more and more details are unraveling of how the kickbacks were paid in the AgustaWestland chopper deal. One of the key middlemen is London-based Christian Michel, and according to the Italian prosecutor's report, he received a payment of 30 million euros, a part of which was meant to pay off people in India to push through the helicopter deal. We now bring you some of the murky details about how Michel was allegedly paid by AgustaWestland. Now, according to a part of the prosecutor's report now accessed by NDTV, Michel was paid more than 18 million euros to buy back derelict Westland WG-30 choppers from the government airline Pavan Hans, helicopters which have been grounded since 1991. News of this broke when the Italian investigators wiretapped the conversations between Giorgio Cassana, the internal audit vice president of AgustaWestland, and his wife Paola Rossi. Now, according to prosecutor's report, Michel was paid more than 6 million euros towards implementing the India contract and more than 18 million euros to buy back 14 Westland helicopters. In total, the total sum deposited in his account was more than 24 million euros. The Italian prosecutor's report clearly points out that it has deep doubts on the efficacy and consistency of the economic relationships that occurred between AgustaWestland and the company of Michel. In other words, Michel allegedly got paid more than 18 million euros for a set of junk abandoned helicopters, when in fact India had sold these helicopters way back in 2000 to a British firm for £900,000.
AgustaWestland office here in the town of Vergate, that's outside Milan. And also, this is the place where a lot of the helicopters that are made in the factory are tested over here. They have an airport for that. About 2,000 people work here as well. What's interesting as people focus on the 500 million euro scam in this is to look at the small scams within the scams which have been mentioned in the prosecutor's report. For instance, what Italy did, what Finmeccanica officials did to hide the fact that they were paying bribes, because like in India, it is illegal here in Italy as well. With me, Claudio Del Frate, who is the journalist who's written about it. Claudio, tell us about this 18 million euro payoff that Finmeccanica did.
Yes, as you know, it's forbidden by the law to pay middlemen when you are dealing the buying of helicopters of army items all over the world. So AgustaWestland had to hide this payment, and he made up this fake contract with Christian Mitchell, that is a middleman, that they couldn't pay. So they was buying back from India 14 helicopters WG that India bought in the 80s, but they are wrecked. They doesn't work well. So they charge Mr. Mitchell to buy back this helicopter, and they paid 18 million euros. But the Mr. Fusco report says that
Mr. Fusco, you mean the Eugenio Fusco, the prosecutor involved in the case?
The prosecutor involved in the case says that the worth of these helicopters is about 900,000 pounds. That is about 1 million euros. So Augusta paid 18 times the worth of this helicopter. Why they paid so much for wrecked helicopters? Because they have to hide bribes to pay to Mr. Christian Mitchell. That is the half part of the paid off of this business between Italy and India.
Very interesting. And also, I just want to ask you, Claudio, did they ever get any helicopters, or is it all just in paper? Is it fictitious, or
It's completely fictitious, I think, but the public prosecutor is trying to understand if this is all fictitious, is a fake, or if this helicopter has moved from India to Italy. But it's not important. It's important to say that the money paid for this business, for the paying back of the helicopter, is huge.
Yes. Did they, and these are of course during Rajiv Gandhi's time, the 80s, that's when these helicopters were bought. Tell me something, does the prosecutor say anything about any Indian officials being involved in this part of the scam?
I don't know if Indian officials are involved in this part of the scandal, but the public prosecutor believes that the Indian officers are involved in the whole scandal. In the report of the public prosecutor, there is also the name of a high officer of the Indian Air Force, that is Mr. Sashi Tyagi. Yeah. That is the man who received the money from Guido Aschke and Christian Mitchell, that are the middlemen of this deal.
Thank you so much, Claudio. So here it is in AgustaWestland. People, the company which is now facing the threat of having its entire tender bid cancelled by Indian authorities. Here, north of Milan, Sunitra Chaudhary with camera person Arif Radu.